things. Justine has dealt with a narc, so she knows exactly how to. That's that face. There it is. Frozen.
It's all right.
No. Okay, you just made that face, and can I tell you what happened over here? You froze literally with that face for a few seconds. I should have screenshot it. I should have screenshot it.
That's
That's what I
what
should have did.
that's
All
what
right.
your mum used to say when you were like a little kid. If you look like that forever, the wind will change and you'll stay like that.
Your face is gonna stay like that, I tell you. That's what it's. Okay, so you have some red flags over there that you have a list of. Could you share some of them with us? And let's see if anybody would like to jump in on some of the red flags she's mentioning. That'll be just fine.
Or,
Um, Justine is going to
yeah.
kind of be giving us some information. Everybody jump in. Don't mind me. I'm going to be doing engineering stuff over here and be looking at things. So go right ahead, Justine. What you got over there? Red flags.
All right. Number one, gaslighting. That is a classic, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and often called crazymaking. So denying reality, basically, pretending certain situations didn't happen, certain conversations didn't exist, or changing the goalposts and just making you look like you've got it wrong, and so you're questioning your memory, and you're questioning your own brain, like, oh, did I hear that right? Maybe I've got it wrong. You feel like you need to video them to sort of
So you're saying that maybe
clarify.
we should have a tape recorder just for them when they go to speak?
Yeah, totally, absolutely. That's a great idea.
Yeah, because they're
But it's quite dangerous, though, um, over a long period of time. I spoke to a guy who was in his 20s about a couple of years ago, and he was completely devastated by a female narcissist that his actual sister went away to college and put her best friend in charge of him, because he was only like early 20s, and he was quite insecure, and
right.
he was going off to college himself, and she basically gaslit him so badly.
Wow.
He woke up in hospital after a suicide attempt and didn't even remember that happening. He woke up in hospital with his parents around him and his
Hmm.
sister, and he was still in shock. Anyway, he went to see a psychologist for quite a long period of time. And he said that everything came back to this friend of hers. Every conversation they went talking to the psychologist came back to this female who was basically, all the drama was surrounded by her. And then they put one and two together and worked out that she was the one that actually pushed him over the edge, basically, through gaslighting.
So sometimes
So,
that has to happen, right? Maybe a person has to kind of go back if they can't figure out what's going on, like what happened with this guy, and kind of figure out, okay, who generated all this? Who started all this? And then they can figure
yeah,
out that, well, that person that you had a narc in your life who was gaslighting and
exactly.
causing trouble. I, I,
Yeah.
I'm
They're
good.
always surrounded by drama.
Okay, so well, that's kind of where I'm leading up to. If they're always surrounded by causing trouble or drama, then what you say kind of makes sense if you're able to kind of keep track of what they're saying, so that you can kind of keep your sanity. On the screen, I'm just going to read something to you, and then you can tell me what you think. Tiffany writes this. She says, throughout the years, I used journaling to help me keep up with what was real and what was twisted. She said, I ran across an old one a year ago that was written 3 years prior that had entry exactly the same. Matter of fact, she says, my mother-in-law and I always talked about video recording him, but when we would try, he would flip out.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's it. It says it all, doesn't it? I mean, you do feel like you need to video them. And I've heard of people that actually do.
Yeah,
People have been in arguments and they get their phone out and start videoing them.
yeah.
And they snap out of it totally straight away, back to the nice person. Like, why,
What? No
why are you
way.
videoing me? Why are you
Seriously?
videoing me?
Wow.
I love you. Why are you
Oh,
doing this
wow.
to me?
That's
And
great.
it's like, oh, it's so frustrating. I think narcissistic abuse is the most frustrating thing on the absolute planet. It's just because you try to explain to somebody what all this stuff is, and if they've never been through it, they just look at you like you've gone nuts.
So someone can look at a victim, can look at someone who's dealing with that and think you're overreacting, you're nitpicking.
Absolutely.
You need to love them more. You need to be more kind until they find out that this person has had, what did you say in the first segment? You said pathological liars.
Yeah. They lie to everybody. I mean, it's just unbelievable. The lies that they tell is it's just next level. You can't believe it. So, but the things this is the thing with, it's so insidious, narcissistic abuse, and especially with a covert narcissist, just tiny little things every day. We touched on it a bit before, but slowly after time, it's like, the Chinese water torture.
Yeah.
The drip, 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 and then suddenly you're like drowning, aren't you? So it's like, it's so horrible. If you mentioned, oh, he was so mean to me about, taking the bins out, you wouldn't even think, it's not even worth mentioning. But if you mention that, then it was this and then it was that, like 5 things a day.
Yeah.
And then the next day they can be nice for quite a long time, and then it's back to the sort of nitpicking and the
well, actually, you just mentioned something I never thought of. You said 5 times a day. I'm thinking of the number of different types of experiences I've heard since doing these shows, and it's almost like 3 times a day. I'm thinking about different people that told me their experiences. It's almost like on an average 3 to maybe even 5 times a day, they're finding reasons to pick on someone or bully someone, essentially, and then they take a little vacation. They take like a day or 2 off, or a day and a half. I really can't even say 2 days, and I'm trying to think right now. I don't even think it's like a full 2 days. It's like maybe a day. They kind of give that person, the victim, a break.
A break, and that is why you get. That's why you get.
And that person
bonded.
thinks, oh, they were just having a bad mood, or he didn't have his coffee that morning. And then it's like, no, this is a patterned behavior that creates havoc in other individuals' lives that they're close to, but they're someone totally different in public. And then in many cases, it escalates to physical violence or financial abuse in ways that are almost unrecoverable or at least damaging.
Yeah, absolutely. It never gets better. I mean, I've never heard one person on the single planet say,
I've heard the same thing.
This person got better, things changed, once you start spotting these toxic signs, it's time to run. It's really, if we'd all looked at these first little red flags early on, just think how much time we could have saved and how much pain we could have saved. I mean, red flags it's serious, normal people, healthy people just don't act like that.
Yeah,
so being forgiving all the time, forgiving somebody, I mean, what are you forgiving somebody for? I mean,
well, if they're
in your
never in the wrong, then they don't think they need any forgiving. And so you're forgiving, you're telling them I forgive you, or you're expecting an I'm sorry or closure, and they're looking at you going like, I've done nothing wrong. You're the person with the problem. You're the person all over the place. Matter of fact, I got to tell you what's on the screen here. I'm going with my little one here. Little screen here. Screen says Tiffany's talking about how she tried to videotape her narc, and he ended up catching her doing that. But others are mentioning about that they how can I put it? Phoenix. I'm answering. You guys have to forgive me here. I just lost my spot here. Okay, Phoenix Rising. There's intermittent, lovely things they do around the manipulation and control. Is that true? Are there things that they do around the manipulation and the control?
They can do lovely things. They can buy you presents. They can take you to the movies. They can take you for lovely meals out. They're not monsters all the time. And this is what's so hard to explain to people, because they often see you out having dinner with this person, having fun. Mm-hmm. But then they don't. But when you go home and when you've got, like, nobody's watching, that's when the abuse comes out. I mean, they're all so sneaky. They're not going to go and do that in front of people. because they don't want to look bad. But as soon as you get them on your own, there's a lot of talk about people that said they're driving towards a party. They're going out for a dinner or something, or driving towards a party in the car together, and they pit fights against them in the car before they get to the party, so that you're all stressed out and they're all like, I'm in control, and if you make me look bad, you're never going to hear the end of it. So you're like at this party having a horrible time because you've just been like basically threatened that you better behave yourself and don't tell anybody what I've just said to you.
Wow.
So you're walking around on eggshells, like not having fun at all, because you know as soon as you get back in that car in 2 hours later, when you're leaving or whatever, it's all going to start again. So it's just horrible.
So being in the car with a narcissist is not a good idea.
Well, this is the thing. Like, if you're in a relationship, you do go in the car to places, don't you? And they use that as like a setup. Like, you better behave like this. You better not embarrass me. You better make me look good. And stuff like that. It's like some of them saying, like, you better make me look good. And it's like, oh, you got to sit there pampering them all night going, oh, darling, you look so good. Aren't you the smartest man in the room? Or aren't you, you know what I mean?
Well, that's kind of like what Tiffany's talking about. They're never the problem is essentially the way they come across, that they are never the problem.
No.
A red flag. Phoenix Rising says that the second date, he had a date talking about her narcissistic ex, and on the second date he brought up the size of her handbag, which she now sees as a red flag, because when they went out on a trip, it was a surprise, never knew where we were going. It's just, there's so much here on the screen to talk about, but I want to ask you about this. You have a list of red flags. She just talked about a red flag that she recognized. Excuse me. She recognized. What other red flags do you say that people need to be mindful of and be careful with?
Triangulation.
Which means?
Is a massive one. It's like, if you look at a triangle, so they're at the top and there's a friend at the bottom, and there's, you know, you and a friend, or you and a family member, and they pit each other against each other. And, you know, we're telling one story about them to you, and then another story to them, and they never want you to talk about it. So they're doing all the talking, and you say...
Everybody's in a corner as far as they're concerned, and they're in the middle, saying one thing to you and one thing to the family member or a friend or someone else.
Yeah.
And they're in the middle making sure to keep this fighting going on, or at least this isolation and distance where they seem like the nice person or the peaceful person in the middle.
They're the one keeping the peace. They're the one in control of everybody. Don't talk to someone. Don't you phone her. I'll do it on your behalf. I mean, that's another massive one. It's like,
I'll talk to her. I'll take care of it for you. You don't have to worry about that. Yeah, you know, she's a little unstable. She's a little unstable.
Yeah.
So,
but she's saying the same thing to that person. So you're like, she's having a hard time. Maybe she's going through something. Maybe she needs to, you know, it's just.
So everybody coming together in one room is not something the narc would love to see. All the parties talking and everybody come together is not the thing they want to see happen.
No.
Because everyone will start to tell their side of the story, and everybody will soon find out real quick. The one common denominator is that person.
It's always the common denominator is always them. It always comes back to them, and that's why they groom people, especially the coverts and the sociopaths, groom people so carefully, because they want you so loyal that there's no way you'd go behind their back and say anything.
Wait a minute. No, you got to repeat that. So the coverts groom you, as you say, so that you will be loyal to them.
Yeah.
And you won't go behind their back.
You won't go behind someone's back or behind their back.
Well, yeah, right.
To say, did so and so say something about you, or what did she say about me, or whatever. So they're so careful who they groom. That's why it's so sad, because they target the nicest people. Like we said before, they're so sweet and
Yeah,
loyal.
because I'm looking
And
at a number of nice people that have wrote on the screen while we've been talking just this short time. We've only been here about 20 minutes talking, and everybody has been writing stuff left and right. You see what you started? You see what you, no one has ever came on my show and started in what you started. You started these, everybody's talking. You've turned this into a visual clubhouse is what you've turned this into. And so what we got here? Tamika writes Morris Therapy from Morris Therapy. Like, comment, share, follow Morris Therapy, and because she's been a guest on the show, but also Justine. So if you go over to Justine's page right now, please like, comment, share, follow what you see on her page. And the discussion that we're having here is about the narcissistic X. And well, Tamika says if you do have a backup plan or an exit strategy, that might be something to consider, to have an exit plan and a strategy.
yeah,
How does a
absolutely.
person,
But
what do you recommend when it comes to that, or how should a person approach that?
well, be very, very careful to start with, especially women leaving often violent
Yeah.
relationships. Never ever tell him when you're leaving. This
Hmm.
is when you die. This is when most murders happen. Dealt with many women dealing with a coach in LA, bless her, Nicole. She does works with domestic violence, and she works primarily with women. And you never ever tell them that you're leaving. So
Hmm.
you've got to you have a secret, you have a bag stash with all your important papers, your documents, your passport, your everything you need, your birth certificates, everything like that. Put it in a bag, put it somewhere there's no way he can find it, because don't forget, like we said before, they're so nasty, so they're always double checking, and they're going through the house looking that you've done something wrong. So make sure you hide it at a friend's house or something like that,
Hmm.
and leave when they are at work, and you know they're at work, and there's no chance you can sort of bump into them or anything like that, because they flip. They completely flip when you're leaving, because especially if they haven't got a new supply set up, because they don't want to be on their own, do they? So you are going to get it big time. And we've had horrific crimes in Australia. I mean, I don't know whether you heard about the lady that's husband basically was bullying her and torturing her for years. They split up. She got 3 young children. He managed to get them all in a car together and set fire to the car, and they all died.
He
You know,
got
this has
her,
happened like,
wait, her and the children he got in the car? Is that what you just said?
he got them all in the car, said, I'm taking you wherever, I don't know. She was scared to death. She got in the car, he set the car alight, they all died. And just recently we've got this new law in Queensland, which is coercive control. So basically it's non-violent, and you know, bullying and constant texting people and telling them what to wear, telling them how much money they can have, all these things are parts of domestic violence that's now considered as law now. So many narcissists that do all this, just as a matter of fact, be absolutely thinking, oh my God, you know, now they can actually be in serious trouble.
Hmm.
Because most people, like domestic violence, you don't think of narcissistic abuse or psychological abuse, but it is. It's complete domestic violence. It's horrendous.
You, you,
So,
you've experienced dealing with narcissism when you didn't know what it was.
yeah.
What, if you had to take a few words to describe that journey and what it was like for you? People can learn more about you and your experience and your story by going and following your page. But just for right now, if you had to put it in some brief words, best you can, to describe for others who are going through this or who have just begun this journey of finding out what narcissism is, what was it like for you before you knew what was going on? How would you describe that experience?
Well, before I knew what was actually happening, I just thought people were moody or grumpy or
Just moody or
having
drunk?
bad days.
Yeah.
And, you know, I didn't understand what narcissism was back then. I just thought, you know, they're going through something. They've had a bad day and they're taking it on me or whatever. But when you get older and once you start doing all the research and stuff, I mean, healthy people don't hurt other people.
No, no, no.
Full stop.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Yeah,
It doesn't matter whether it's being screamed at or, you know, ignored. The silent treatment is another big trait of narcissism.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not talking to you because you're, you know, did something wrong. It's not healthy.
Yeah.
You know, normal people want to sort out arguments real quick.
Yep.
Get on with it.
Yep.
Get dinner on the table. Feed the kids.
And just move.
Bed, watch a movie.
Watch a movie later, and just everything's okay. We just move.
Exactly.
That's normal.
Nobody wants to be arguing with anyone.
Yeah.
It's just, and if you sort of brought up in that environment, I mean, I've realized I've had narcissistic family members as well. And it's just the belittling that, you know, you're too sensitive, you're, you know, all these sort of things are signs that when somebody tells you you're being too sensitive, it means they're going to hurt you again.
Yeah.
They're setting you up for the next time.
They're gonna poke that spot again. Yeah.
It's like, I'm going back later.
Now I know.
Like,
now that I know it's there, I'm going back for that spot right there.
And they always do. They always do. And that's it. I mean, narcissists always have a trail of destruction. Always have a trail of destruction behind them.
So technically, they're like a superhero or a villain in one of these Marvel movies or one of these superheroes. There's always destruction every time they come to save everybody, or there's destruction by the bad guy, and they never show the people that have to clean up afterwards. They never show the city. No, I'm just saying. You know, next time they show the city, it's like 20 years later. You know, the city has now recovered. That's kind of like the relationships, though. You get in a relationship with these individuals that are like that, narcissistic. They leave this trail of destruction, like you just said, financial abuse, and a number of other things. And then it takes 10, 20 years later before the person seems like before they can get on their feet. But in many cases, people rebound, and it depends on who they are, sometimes sooner, but many find many decades later, they still are a little shell-shocked from dealing with somebody like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's frightening because you can't believe that you've got into that position to start with. You sort of question you question yourself, like, how did I get into this situation?
Yeah, right.
You know, you just, like any relationship you go into, you go in with good intentions and care and all the rest of it. You want the best for both sides and whatever, but they don't. So it's like, how did I get so sucked into it all? It's just bizarre.
But that would be the key, though. They didn't enter it with good intentions. They just hid their bad intentions and mirrored your good intentions, the victim's good intentions, and that's what fooled the person to think that they had a partner. In actuality, they had a predator that they were letting in. So it's kind of where a person has to kind of know that, hey, wait a minute, I was doing the right thing. I entered on good intentions, and they really entered on bad intentions. So it can be a little bit easier to pick oneself up. I cannot hold you all day, so we're going to have to come to an end here. We have so much more to talk about, and I am setting you up openly in front of everybody to hopefully agree to something that I have in mind. We're going to talk about in private. If not, we probably won't do it tomorrow, maybe in a couple of days. But maybe we can do this again, in which I know everybody, you guys wrote a lot of stuff. I'm going to have to say this. Tiffany, please come back again. Of course, Tamika, you know the door is always open for you to join us. Phoenix Rising and everybody else that's here. We could not get to everybody, but I'm going to read something here, and then maybe, Justine, you could tell me what you think. Tiffany writes this. She says, I felt so stupid and beat myself up more so than I lashed out in defense at times. She beat herself up instead of defending herself more times then she defended herself. And she felt stupid. Is that what happens a lot of times to the victim?
Yeah, oh, yeah, of course. And that's the horriblest thing about it. You feel like you've done something completely stupid. You've fallen for somebody that's obviously got very bad intentions. But like we said before, they're predators. They're grooming you, so it's not your fault. Stop blame. You know, you mustn't blame yourself. The nicest people on the planet and very smart people, many people have been done over by a narcissist. I mean, whether at work or anywhere, not just in relationships. So please do not beat yourself up. It is not your fault at all. I mean, and that's another thing. Some people say, am I narcissistic because I've lashed out at them? Because I said, well, no, because
I've heard that too.
They've been lashing out. Yeah. They've been lashing out at you for months, if not years, and you do one little snap.
Yeah.
And they go, oh, see, it's your fault. You're the abuser. He's like, no,
I just heard that yesterday on my Narc Abuse TV network page with a wonderful guest of mine by the name of Eve. She had taken so much abuse, over the time frame. I think it's like 4 years, 5 years, whatever it was, something like that. Yeah. And she blew up once, just once. And you know how that goes. That's everybody's got to know about that one she did.
Oh yeah.
But he provoked her. He provoked her into that situation. And so I find that very fascinating that somebody could be that low on the totem pole of emotions that they want to poke somebody until they provoke them and then turn around and say, oh, they're abusing me. See how they treat me. And they had an entire history or decades of doing that. We're going to have to go, but I do want to tell you this. Are you still there?
All right.
I'm getting a little feedback, but I'll tell you this. Somebody wrote again, based on something you just said. Remember I mentioned Tiffany, she felt stupid, so forth. She felt bad. But she also mentioned she's only six months escaped. She's only 6 months of, I'm assuming, no contact. What advice do you give her? She's just fresh out of dealing with this knucklehead, troublemaker.
Well, just educate yourself as best as possible. And if you want, get a narcissistic abuse recovery coach, because they can fast track you through this. I mean, I've known people, it takes them 10 years to get over and they don't have another relationship again because they've not got the right help. We know what we're talking about. Not just me, but there's loads out there now. And because we've lived it, we've learned of ways how to get over it quicker than anything else. So if you need support, just message me. Okay. But there's so much, just education, and be kind to yourself. Do things that you love doing. Make sure you laugh every single day. Do something funny with your kids or with your friends. And
good point.
Just snap out of that brain fog and just try and enjoy your life again, because it's so horrific what you've been through.
Beautiful. Yeah, laugh every day. I'm with you on that one. Dance a little bit, laugh every day. Do the things that a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old would do somewhere throughout the day. Go chase some clouds. A number of things. Have fun again, because it is possible to be happy. It's a choice we make. It's not something we look for somebody on the outside to give us. I'm going to need to end the show now. But I am going to get back into my lab and come up with something that I have conjured up in my head to do with you in regards to more shows in which you can bring more of the information you have to life, because you sparked this conversation today, and I knew you would. I just wanted to try this. That's why I wanted you on the show. That's why I contacted you. I saw your page, and I went like, wow, she would be the right person to spark this conversation, and I can't even get to all the comments that happen on the screen. So we'll be able to do that. But I want to give a big shout out to Tamika from Morris Therapy. Everybody make sure to go talk with her. She's a great deal of wisdom. But I've got a beautiful lady here in front of me right now, a wonderful woman who is full of wisdom, and that's you, Justine. So Tiffany, feel free to, and she's very humble too. But can you? What's up with the crown? Why you didn't put the crown on? You know, you had it on when we
I'm
were talking.
sorry.
What's up with
Here
that?
it is.
I told you. And so in our show prep, we talked about this crown. I was supposed to get mine from Burger King out here, but I didn't get one. I forgot. But please,
Oh,
whenever
God.
you come back on, wear that. Now, what I want.